Parents claiming money for my things I've sold on Facebook Marketplace. Parents pocketing the money from my things I'm selling on Marketplace. I live at home, 24F, and my parents own a business and are comfortable financially. I am very appreciative of the life I have at home, but I pay all my own bills, healthcare, car registration, mobile etc. etc. Over the past few months, I've been helping my parents with clearing out by selling heaps of stuff on Marketplace. We moved house, so we have a ton of stuff to sell. I also decided to sell a few of my things too, an old wetsuit and surfboard that I was given for Christmas many years ago from them. When I sold those items, my mum said to give her the cash, saying that it wasn't a gift but they bought it for me to use, therefore the money is hers. Something about this really irritates me. I literally remember being given those two things, but for them to say that it was actually theirs and they let me use it just spins my head. Also, I am planning to move out, so $200 to me means a lot more than $200 to them. Am I overreacting? How can I deal with this? I've tried to speak to both of my parents and they have the exact same viewpoint. Too long didn't read. My parents took the money I made from selling things that they gifted to me when I was younger, saying that they still own them and they were never mine. Solution: quit selling on FB or just sell your things without letting them know. If it is your stuff, is it their business? There is an option when selling on Marketplace to hide the listing from friends. I do this when I'm selling things family has given me, lol. That's not how gifts work. Gift is someone transferring ownership of something to you. When you own something, you can trade it for currency. Your parents are being jerks. Those were, for example, Christmas gifts, not Christmas loans. Who the F / on this planet gives Christmas loans, and like gift wrapped and all, not loan wrapped? Like WTF? What are they going to try next? Say all the food they fed you over the last 24 years was a loan, and ask you to regurgitate it all? Tell your parents to sell their own things, that way they get to keep their own money. Then sell yours, yourself. Don't tell them what you're selling and what you get for it. If it's yours, it's yours. No way at 24 would I be giving my parents money for selling my own old birthday and Christmas gifts. My opinion is that you are right and the money should be yours, but my advice is to think hard before making an issue about this. Right now you're relying on your parents for support. Also in life you need to choose your battles wisely. You can't always argue about everything that you disagree with, and that goes double for anyone you have a long-term relationship with. In the future, don't sell any more of your stuff until after you move out. My 31M wife, 29F, and I can't seem to agree on relationship duties. I consistently feel inadequate, and I have fallen out of love. Background: my wife and I have been married for a little over a year now. We luckily squeezed in our wedding before COVID hit, unknowing that it would shut down the world. However, we've been living together for 2.5 years prior, and together for a total of 7.5 years. Prior to the middle of last year, she never had a full-time job, student and part-time work. After graduating, she finally completed her licensee exams in her specific field that pays handsomely. But for the majority of our relationship, I was the financial provider for the both of us, and our dog. For the 2.5 years that we lived together, I worked full-time, but had a flexible schedule, self-employed. My daily responsibilities included letting our dog out to potty, feeding the dog, and dropping the dog off to daycare. On the days I get the chance to come home early, I cook and prep dinner, pick up our dog, walk her, feed her again, and all the hygiene things. It sounds petty to list small things out, but at this point I'm thinking out loud. I never expect her to do anything around the house, besides pick up after herself and the occasional laundry and dishwashing. Occasionally, she makes me breakfast to take with me out the door, which I'm always grateful for. Now with her working full-time, she leaves early and comes home almost exactly at dinner time. So that means either I'm cooking every dinner, or we'll have takeout. I've also been doing the laundry and dishwashing, exclusively. This is all on top of my prior duties. Now here's the problem: I actually don't mind doing all these things. I'm very task-oriented, so knocking things off of a list is not a problem. However, She finds things to complain about, weekly, about house projects that only I can complete. I do my best to get to them on the weekend. Last week, I had to take a day off of work just to redo our closet system, took all day. Recently, I've been networking more, maybe once or twice a week for happy hour, to add investors to my portfolio and grow my business. So I haven't been making dinner as much. However, all the other duties are still being taken care of. A few days ago, she said that I'm wildly unavailable, and something about that really pushed me over the ledge. I fell into a mental and emotional hole that I haven't felt in 10+ years. I was diagnosed with manic depression then, but haven't really had major episodes since. Granted, I am going through a lot of mental stress from work, family issues, unrelated to our problems, and COVID. After hours of talking, we realized that we are just roommates now. We've had sex once in 6 months. I told her that her expectations of me are a little too heavy for me to handle, but she says it's because I'm not putting in the effort and I'm not available. I truly believe that I am putting in the effort, though. I realized that I don't have the intimate feelings for her anymore because I'm afraid of letting her down. I suggested counseling, but she doesn't want to. I needed a third person's perspective. I do understand that story is only coming from my perspective, so maybe I'm missing something. Feel free to ask any questions that there may be confusion about. Thank you so much for reading. I appreciate any feedback. Too long didn't read. I've fallen out of love with my wife because she makes me feel like I'm not enough, or not doing enough, to make her happy. However, I believe I'm doing as much as I can. You wrote whole paragraphs about your chore responsibilities, and then 4 sentences about your conflict with your partner. Can you explain to us how the two things are connected? What expectations does she say she has? What expectations are you afraid to fail? How can you be putting in effort to your relationship if you don't have intimate feelings for your partner? Like others have said, you sound overwhelmed. Hire a cleaning person or let your partner know you will only be cooking 3 to 4 times a week, or whatever else you need to do to free up some space in your day. You should not be taking time off from work just to do house projects unless you're doing a huge renovation. I would like to suggest that you put this conflict with your wife on the back burner for a bit and focus on something else that struck me in your post. You are feeling overwhelmed and fragile, and it's similar to a previous episode that was very difficult. I think you should imminently seek out your own therapist, put some of your business expansion plans on pause, and dial back the chores until you find yourself back on more solid footing. 3. Chores. My personal opinion is that a fair way to split it is to aim for equal free time rather than say splitting it 50-50. So if she has a long commute and you work from home, then spending free time you have around work doing chores while she's out commuting to / at work is fair. But when you're both at home, in the evening or at the weekend, if there's things that need doing, you do them together. But more important here seems to be her thinking you're unavailable and that you aren't putting in the effort. You haven't given detail on that or whether she's putting in any effort, so we can't really judge either way. The main thing though is that you've offered counseling and she's refused. She's your wife. She should be open to having a neutral third party help you discuss the issues fairly. If she's refusing, then does that suggest she's not actually interested in fixing them? Yeah, she's going to need to agree to an intermediary because it's hard to give even a broad perspective from just one person's couple of paragraphs about a marriage and its issues. I'd start by writing things down, things you do, and what you'd like the other to do. Ultimately you need to reach agreement. If you can't do that and she won't explore an intermediary, then there's only one outcome. It's really difficult to advise, other than therapy for you, given how overwhelmed you're feeling, because the majority of this post is about household tasks you do, and then you quickly mention you've talked for hours and she doesn't feel you're available, but you give us no details. Did you ask what she meant? Your chores are obviously wildly unequal, and should be redistributed. Most people who work full-time manage to do some share of chores. Hell, they do all of them if they're single. Working till dinner time shouldn't mean you have to do everything in the home. But I get the impression that that's how you show you care, and for her that's just baseline how it is. It doesn't show her your love and caring and effort, because it's always been like that and she's gotten used to it as just the way things are. Plus doing chores might not be how she would express and receive love, so you're working yourself to the bone and she sees you doing nothing towards you as a couple. Your toiling is missing the mark. First, get yourself more stable mentally, because you won't get anything else done if you're battling mania or a depressive episode. Then, redistribute chores. She lives in the household and needs to take her fair share of responsibility for it. Fair doesn't need to be 50%, but people just don't appreciate housework if they never need to lift a finger to do it themselves. Finally, figure out what each of you means by effort/being available/intimacy, and make an effort to do what your partner perceives as such. I, 22F, asked my husband, 25M, to cook and things went to shit. We have been splitting chores for years now and last year I did all the laundry, cleaning etc. and he took care of the kitchen. Around 6 months ago he asked me to help him out in the kitchen with the cleaning as well and I did. Lately we have switched places and everything was too much for me. I couldn't cook and clean the kitchen and when I asked for help he told me you always push yourself too hard. Just stop cooking. And I was so tired at that point, I did stop cooking for a while. I ate out every few days or I prepared a simple dish like pasta. It felt bad eating junk food of course and it took a toll on my mental health as well. Also, it's really expensive to order food in my country. Home cooking is the best option for us. Today he comes over and says you should probably clean the kitchen after you cook. And I got a little upset. I told him I didn't want to cook in the first place and I could do the cleaning instead. Or he could at least help out a little bit. He gets mad and tells me you are trying to make me cook. And again, says the same thing he told me months ago, just don't cook at all. I don't care. Our mental health have been declining recently and I try to give him space and help when he is in need. But we live in the same house and I don't want to feel like I live in a garbage can. He doesn't cook and I have to otherwise we starve. I just don't understand what I can do to get out of this mess. I love my husband so much but I don't have any strength left to support him with chores right now. TDLR. Husband doesn't want to cook or clean anymore. He says he doesn't care if I don't either, which puts me in a tough position. Have you ever straight up told him, we cannot afford not to cook? I do all the food shopping and cooking in my household. I think my partner doesn't really know how much money we are saving cooking at home versus buying prepared food, because he never sees the receipts or figures out the food budget. I bet yours is the same. How much cleaning are you normally doing on a daily basis? And when you say over 6 months ago he took care of the kitchen, do you mean he cooked or just cleaning the kitchen? That's my question. If he's cleaning a kitchen no one cooked in or that she cooked in while she still did all those other chores, that's not equitable division to me. It's great your husband doesn't care about cooking but you do want a home-cooked meal. And he put aside the fact he doesn't care to help you since you do care. He needs to offer better solutions than don't cook or eating out. Maybe a slow cooker/crock pot and meals that can be prepared that way. Maybe he takes on more of the other chores. Just because he doesn't care doesn't mean he doesn't have some responsibility to help. I'm really frustrated for you.